Hello, my friends. We're a few minutes behind. Love you to join us today. We are talking about showing up fully expressed. Hi, Karen. Hi, Yasmina. I'm gonna ask Yasmina. Hi, Kumari. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Yasmina, bringing Yasmina in.
Okay.
Deep breath,
Hi,
my deep breath, my friend. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. That's so funny. I Googled the time so many times
I know.
and well, it doesn't
This
matter.
happens. Oh, it's lifing, and I love having friends all over the world and colleagues over the world, but sometimes we just miss that time zone, and it's all fine. But I'm so glad I reached out to you that you could show up. So thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you so much. I saw like the message, like meet you in 10. I'm like, in 10? I'm like, okay. Let's
Well,
put
you're
the
here, and I'm so
tripod
glad.
in.
I'm so glad you're
Yeah.
here. I'm so glad. So
Thank you
I
for inviting.
want, of course, my pleasure. We're going to talk about being fully expressed today, showing up authentically and what that means. And there's so many layers to it. So I watch you. I mean, you and I met in Society New Thought Global, and I just felt your energy right away. And so I'm so glad that we connected and that you're here. We're going to share our story and what it means to show up fully expressed and authentic, right? It's a brave and confident yet freeing way to live, isn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think the freeing part is the most important element. Like it is what you just said, like you need to be brave. It is a jump out of your comfort zone. But once you do it, it's like, why didn't I do it before? It's like
Right.
such a freeing, yeah, feeling. Absolutely.
So I want you, Yasmina, to share a little bit about your journey of being fully expressed. And I know it's a continual journey for the rest of our life, right? Because life brings on different seasons of our life that we're always having to show up and to love ourselves through that. So I want to hear your journey, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So, well, for me, it was like a couple of steps. Like the first step for me for showing up authentically was when my mother died. Then something shifted inside me. I decided I had to go deeper into my feelings, my wishes, and my spiritual path started. So I gave up my job at the bank. I was private banking consultant, and I started studying again to become a teacher. I started to do more sports, and I also changed my diet. So I became a vegan at that time, and I dove really deep into spirituality. And then after my second child was born, also my sexuality came up again. Like there was something that was pushing me into really revealing and being honest with myself, and also that part of myself that I was dismissing for such a long time. And I fell in love with a woman, and yeah, and I couldn't hide anymore from that part of myself. And I think the most important part was listening to my needs, like listening inside myself and allowing that part to come alive. And I really felt more alive. And the trouble came after revealing my sexuality. A lot of things to overcome personally in my private life, and but I have never felt so light and with so much energy, because I think, and please tell me if you had the same experience, but once you show up authentically and truthfully, it is so much easier to live, that you have so much more energy, so you can do so much more. And people
100%.
ask me sometimes, like, how can you manage to do everything, like studying, working, taking care of two kids, having a partner, and taking care of the house, and being always like in a good mood, and all your troubles, all the court appointments and whatnot, and being light. And it is about being true to yourself and being in alignment with yourself. So that's my experience.
Thank you. Well, I have so many things to say to that, but to that point, you are so right. Life, we are drained energetically when we are living out of alignment. When we're living according to societal norms and our parents and our conditioning, we are out of alignment. And that is so much of the work, is identity shifting, no matter what it is, however you identify, your gender expression, that's a big part of it, yes. But for you especially, and some of my clients as well. But the thing is it's just being your true self beyond how you were told how you had to be to get love, to be valued, and all the things. And that's so much of my work, is identity shifting. And that is, to me, everything. I mean, when you know your true self beyond your conditioning, and I never wanted to fit into that societal norm, that societal box, and my children don't either. So it's, and then when you live aligned, but you know, like for you, you said, and it takes often going through really challenging times. Unfortunately, that's why I always say to people, why do we wait till those challenging times to push us there? Why don't we choose before that? And that's why I love so many of my clients are like in their late 20s and 30s, and they are choosing to understand this, because that generation is so much more conscious to this understanding that we were not. And so, yeah, yet those, same for me, Jasmina, is like those really pivotal points in life that were so challenging that I had to stop, and I had to look, and I had to explore myself. And through, my big thing was through relationship. And also I lost my dad young and my mom. And so it's again, conditioning, and then freeing yourself from that. And when you are aligned to your truth and you're authentic, and you let go of all the masks and the way that you show up in life, because that's freaking exhausting, right? So to your point, when you are living aligned according to your truth, and your truth is your truth, I don't care what other people think about it. That is the freedom. And when you show up in that truth, your energy is expansive, right? And then you draw in people and relationships and situations that are aligned to that. Because what I find in my work with most of my clients, and with most people, whether they're 25 or 55, they often don't know who they are. And they've created so many layers of persona and masks, and they're so contained and compartmentalized, and they're not happy. They're in relationships that aren't right. Like, to your point, you know, the way you eat, exercise, things, all the things you do, they're not even aligned. It's like the have to, the should. And when they strip away that and they become into their true self, it just makes sense. Life makes sense. So I bet your life didn't make sense to you for a long time, because I am curious, but not that we need to go down this path greatly, but I am curious because my child is non-binary and queer. And so, you know, they came out when they were 19, and I'm going to touch on that very quickly, and then I want to hear your story. I always said I would love my kids no matter what, no matter who they choose to become or who they choose to love. Now, it's bitten me in the ass, excuse my language, quite a few times, because they are their own people, and as a mother, sometimes that's hard. But the thing is I realize with my own child, both my children, and it doesn't matter how they identify, just loving them as they are in their humanness and supporting them. I've always said this, when we support our children as they are, they will become their best self, whatever that looks like. And we cannot put that in a box or define that for them. We can only support and love them, and that is the greatest thing we can do. So I have a lot of experience with it on my child, but not personally. So coming back to you, how was it? I want to understand, because I'm such a curious mind. I love to hear people's stories and truth. How you lived in that marriage with all those questions.
Well, you know, this is such a good conversation, because I'm diving really deep into that question, because it's not as easy as it seems to answer. And I'm also very excited because I'm going to interview next week a professor about this topic. He's an expert. Why is it that it's still so hard to come out as queer? What are the reasons? And you know, there are two main reasons I have found. I have been starting to interview other people who have come late into the queerness, late in life, because that, for me, it's such an important topic also to discuss with my coachees. And the one reason is the thing you said about unconditional love. During our childhood, we have learned that love is not unconditionally. And our parents, they don't do it on purpose, but they want to educate us. They want the best for us. So they want us to clean the room. They want us to have good marks. So we try so hard to be this good girl, this good student. So we believe, and there we have the limiting belief, that love and acceptance, also from our peers and from our parents, only come if we behave a certain way, if we act a certain way. So that is a huge part that hinders us from coming out. So, and that was one of my main reasons that prevented me from coming out early in life. Then the other part is that I didn't listen to my needs. I put all the other needs, I don't want to disappoint anybody, and I wanted to do the right thing for my family. I wanted to do the right thing for my kids, and these are the two main reasons for me. But then also comes the heteronormativity in the society. Like when I grew up in Spain, in a smaller city, so I had no representation for lesbian couples. There were some homosexuals, also some homosexuals in movies maybe, or on TV, but they were all like, they were represented like problematic or very extreme in their appearance, like, but there was not like a lesbian couple having children, having a family, being happy. And so I had nobody to look up to. And for me, growing up, for me, it was like, well, you like women, like all women like women. For me, it was like all girls like girls. I thought that was normal. But you marry a man when you want to have a family. So then the other thing about society is, like, they can tell you, oh, I have no problem with your queerness. But when you want to introduce your girlfriend, they will tell, well, it's just a friend. So these are the subliminal, like the things that happen underneath, like indirectly, and they come into your subconscious, and they are not so clear to heal. So you really need to do the subconscious work we do with our coachees, because if you don't do it, you will never appear 100% authentic in all areas of your life.
I hear your girls.
Yeah.
Yes. It's all good. But I agree with you 100%, and I thank you for sharing and being so vulnerable. I love that about you. That is us all showing up in our vulnerability, because I believe that's how we connect as humans, because your story may be than mine, but it's so similar. I mean, because it's like being true to yourself, and that my work. Doesn't matter who you identify, or it does not matter. It is exactly what you said. Is how we, the good girl, the good boy, how we learn to be perfect, and that's how we receive love. And so we have all of these identities that we hold on to, and there's so much shame in not being able to let that down, because like I said, you had an extra layer of shame, but we all have different extra layers of shame, no matter what was put on us by our parents. And we're not making anyone wrong, because we were raised by human beings, and there's a lot of fear around. I admit that I had fear around my children, a bit around, their choices, because I wanted them to be who they were. But as a parent, you want them to be happy, whatever that means. But often it's from your own lens and what you were taught from your parents, right? And so when my child came out, it was like, I had to move through my ideas that I had for them. And yet I had to. It was something I chose to do. And a lot of parents, because I just wanted them to be happy and that I wanted them to accept who they are. And so we've grown immensely. I will say that my child, both my children, but Liv has been my greatest teacher. Greatest teacher. From the womb, my friend. They have been just beautifully brilliant. And yeah, and I also want to say that your gift that you are bringing to the world, I think everything we go through and we experience, and even the children that we have and our partners that we have and our parents that we have, we signed up for this. It's like a greater, it has allowed me to look through a lens of no judgment, look through a lens of just love. And everyone should love whoever they want to love, and anyone should be fully expressed. So I want to talk about that. Fully expressed is your truth of what it is, again, for you. And it's so hard to discern between like societal norms and how we should be and follow this trajectory of, especially as a woman. And, you know, I'm moving into the aging woman, so that adds a whole other level to it, right? It's another season. And we are always going to be faced with a different season. And for me, you know, I'm owning it because I know who I am so deeply. So deeply that, and to, I want to say to our work that we both do is the deep trauma work. And that is, you know, again, can be triggering trauma to people, but we all as human beings have experienced trauma. And even trauma is being told you should be a certain way as a child. You should fit into this box. To be valued, to be loved, to be perfect, it needs to look like X, Y, Z. And most parents very much parent black and white. And so for you and, you know, for so many people, and this is all people, like I said, it's like, that is my work is seeing the identities that they took on to become what they needed to be loved and to be liked and to be, you know, valued by their parents. And it's like, you get to choose, you get to release all of that, release those identities, and then you get to choose who you want to be. And to me, people always say, Carly, how are you so confident and how are you so out there? And I want to say, and I want to say this to you, Yasmin, because we're still getting to know each other. I used to be very shy because I was told to be shy. I was told to be seen and not heard. And I grew up in a Mormon family, a big family, and everything on the outside appeared differently than it actually appeared on the inside. So I am very much, so I knew this as a young girl. I could feel it and sense it. Hello. So that's been so much of my passion, my mission-driven work is that I don't present a facade. Make anyone feel safe, anyone feel comfortable with my energy, because I'm a powerful woman and I know that, as are you, and that's why I know we've connected. And this is what I teach women to be, is to step into their power beyond how they were told to be a good girl, to be, my dad said, be seen and not heard. I'm going to be seen and heard, right? And so that is what fully expressed is to me. And I wanted to say one thing because, like I said, so many people say, how are you so confident in there? To me, it is the trauma work. It is the identity shifting. It is looking at your upbringing and your conditioning and how you were told to be and how that feels to you. And if that's right, and questioning that. I upset a lot of people because I'm constantly questioning identities, because how did we become so? How did we become so? That's right.
From our experience. Yes, it is what we have been told to do. And I absolutely agree. I think to be free from all that conditioning is not only relevant for queer people, it's for everyone. Everyone has been conditioned to fit in that box, what you'd mentioned. Yes. So this work is so important for everyone. And wouldn't you agree that when you are free to be your true self, to really to show up and speak as you want, act as you want, it's the ultimate freedom? Like, that's really freedom.
Freedom, absolutely. That is the base. I mean, that is my work. It's like freedom, freedom, and so many people are afraid of that because again, they're worried about what society, their friends, their family, their this. But I have found, and I'll ask you, not everyone, but when you show up in your truth, you give other people permission to show up.
Yes,
Yes.
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 Yes, you do. You make them, because, yeah, that's the key. Exactly, Carly. Because, we think that if we don't show our true self, we will not offend, or we will not disappoint, or we do it because we think that we make somebody a favor, but it's exactly the contrary. When you show up authentically, you give the permission for other people to show up authentically, and you will attract the right people. If you don't show up authentically, then you will always attract the people who you don't fit in completely. So acting and being yourself, you will attract exactly the same people with the same vibration. And that is what life is all about.
I know that's the richest of life to me. I started bringing women into my living room 20 years ago, and we'd sit in a circle before yoga, and I would share my story, just what I've gone through, because again, I was a mother at 17 and lots of things. But when I showed up in my vulnerability and my truth, it allowed all of them to let down and just share that. So that's why, I love connecting with people through truth, through sharing stories, through sharing our vulnerabilities. And so I encourage everyone to try that today with someone that they feel safe with. It's just showing up, because I'm telling you, that energy will come back in such a way, because I believe most of us are inauthentic. We're wearing a mask to protect ourselves. We've created personas, we've created identities from our conditioning. And I cannot tell you, again, just echoing Jasmina's, it's freedom when you can show up, and then you're less concerned by others knowing. Like, okay, I'm glad
you have more energy.
Yeah,
like you don't waste energy thinking about things that don't matter. Like when you concentrate on what really matters, like your focus is so on the point, don't you find that everything goes smoother too? Like you're on the flow of life when you're authentic and you concentrate on yourself and you're in alignment. It's like that's like riding the wave of life. Like you can enjoy so much more, and everything is just easier and lighter, I find.
Oh, for sure.
What do you think?
Oh, I will echo that 1,000%. And that's what I would love for people to really understand, that yes, this work is not easy, right, Jasmina?
No.
We have to face all of our shadow, all of our pain, all the tender spots. But I'm telling you, when my clients are like, after a few sessions, they feel so free, and I always say it's like they always say this, it's like they're outside of their body watching themselves in life, because they can see so clearly. Once you lift that veil and understanding, you can't unsee it. And yet they start to question it and understand, and then they start creating boundaries. They start speaking their truth. They start attracting, the right partner, because before they were in the shame, in the conditioned self, and all these limiting beliefs that was being projected out into life. So the work that Jasmina and I do is, like I said, it's the trauma work. It is the subconscious reprogramming, because, and I know everyone's heard me say this, but I'm going to say it again, that we developed our sense of self when we were little children. And we also, our subconscious mind is 95%. This is neuroscience. It's everything we do. And so we developed that when we were little children. So we are looking through a lens of all these ideas and beliefs that we created when we were little children, being informed by human beings. And so I just want to, and I know Jasmina wants to empower you to question these beliefs. And it doesn't matter how you choose to identify whatever it is, but the thing is letting go of the identities and things that you've taken on that were never yours to carry. Never.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I think this work, yes, it is hard work, but it's so transformative. And when we talk about trauma, we don't talk about a car accident or some like what in the you could say like a big trauma. There is no big trauma or small trauma. We all have lived through trauma. And I would encourage everyone just to look at all the limiting beliefs they have and to find somebody who they really feel comfortable with. Like, I think to open up and to go deep, you really need to trust and to feel comfortable. And you're such a great person, and you can already like feel through the internet, through the video call, what an amazing energy you have, and how you can trust your inner thoughts, your secrets with you. So I think your
Well,
work
back
is
at
so
you,
important.
sister. Back at you. And I reached out to you because I just felt that with you, and I sense authentic energy, and I just do. And that you just brought up a good point is the trust. Because what I found, and yes, I could go on about this forever, but we'll finish up here soon. But the thing is most of us don't trust ourselves because we are so misaligned in our identities that we've taken on. And we were told how to be as little children. And this is a huge part of my work, especially with women, that when you're told how to be, and then often, my dad never did this to me, thank goodness. He never called me princess. He let me fall. He let me do my own thing, and I'm grateful for that. But so many girls, women are, coddled and told how to be and how to be a lady and all these things. And so they never learned the natural consequences, the cause and effect, which is our work, right? We are the cause and effect of life. But as little children, we didn't understand that. So we didn't learn our own autonomy or learn how to fail, and then what do we do within that feeling? How do we manage? Because again, most girls as little children, we were coddled. And so that's what I help my clients do, is really learn to trust themselves, because it's hard to trust yourself with all of these notions and these ideas, and I'm all about being a strong, independent woman who also can be held and taken care of and loved. So there's the balance, the dichotomy of that balance. But trusting ourselves, that's a huge part of the work. And because we didn't get that when we were little, that's part of our job as an adult, is reparenting ourselves and knowing we are the cause and effect of our life. We are not victim to our circumstances. We're not victim to our conditions, not victim to any of it. We get to choose. And that is what I'm talking about. To me, that is what it is to be fiercely authentic, is to be fully accountable for your life, no matter what you grew up in. And yes, there are some terrible conditions that people have lived in and whatnot, but still, as an adult, it's our responsibility to say, yes, this is what happened.
Yeah.
And now what do I do? What do I get to choose going forward? How do I want to create and show up and identify in life? That is what is so important. So for me, I am fiercely authentic. And it can be scary for some people at times, and that's okay. But I show up in the love that I am, to your point, in that trusting too, because I am love. We are all love. So absolutely, that is it, is we have to face, and I always say this, we have to face our own BS, our own bullshit, and our own belief system, and do the work to heal and integrate those parts of ourselves that weren't met, and then also get to decide how we move forward. And it doesn't matter what they think, as long as we are aligned to our truth, we're going to create the life that we're proud of at the end of our days.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And don't you think that it even starts earlier? Like, for example, today in the kindergarten, I hear it again. One boy was crying, and somebody told him, stop crying. And it is this, shouldn't you be attached to your feelings? Like, allow yourself to feel your emotions. All your emotions are an indicator if you're in alignment with yourself or not. You should be feeling your emotions. And if you need to cry and to be sad, that's okay. I think it already starts with that. Like, before you have an identity, even before, like calling you a princess or calling you a strong boy or whatever. It starts like being connected to your emotions. And when you are connected to your emotions, then you don't even need boundaries, because then you know when you want to say no, it's no. When it's yes, it's yes. You don't even need to clear that up, because you're so honest with yourself. Like you're firstly authentic because you can listen into yourself. You can listen into your emotions and be in alignment with them. For me, my emotions, I always say, they're an indicator. Like, are you in alignment or not? Like, you shouldn't say, oh, I don't want to feel that emotion. It's telling you something. Listen to it, allow it, and then you can let go.
Beautifully said. And yet, most of us, when we were children, to your point, hearing this kindergartner, like, oh, don't be this, or don't, oh, whatever. I agree. And most of us as parents, I know I'm guilty of that. But we're trying our best to just let them, say, oh, it's okay. But yes, I agree with you. And I just posted about, and working with a new client, she was not able to be in her emotions at all. It was very much about mom and dad, only child too, so she had to take on all of it. And she does not know how to be with her emotions at all. And yet she created a persona of being the happy ray of sunshine. Like I said, she just steps into a room, I mean, so effervescent. And it was, so many people create these personas again because she was so uncomfortable feeling and being with her emotions. So that's our work together, is helping her feel those emotions. And Jasmina, I agree with you. I'm a very emotional, I love emotions, and we are all emotional beings. And yet the thing is that literally life can only meet us as deeply as we've met ourselves, and as deeply as we feel, that's where life will be. So if you are avoiding, suppressing, pushing down, not feeling, our feelings are they're our guide to what needs to be healed, what needs to be expressed. And to me, I mean, my children are very emotional, expressive beings, and I'm so proud of that I instilled that in them. And so I agree with you. It is. That's another part of being fully authentic, fully expressed, is being able to feel comfortable in your emotions, which we did not learn. Many of us, I would say 9 out of 10 of my clients, did not learn to be comfortable in their emotions. They were shamed, or emotions were swept under the rug, right? And so to feel comfortable in them, but also feel comfortable to move through and process, and then to also express. So to your point, when you get comfortable in that space, boundaries, yes, boundaries are still necessary, but they're not as needed because you're just showing up fully expressed.
Yes.
And fully, yeah. And you know what? Like I said, just it gives other people permission to also do the same.
Yes. And once, because when you don't, if you don't listen to your boundaries or your feelings, and you say yes when you mean no, afterwards you will have this feeling of regret or this anger towards this person. So it is what you're just saying, like you're not doing any favor to anybody. And and then there will be no explosion. Like, if you just say what you feel and what you think, like, most people will find it's much easier than they thought. They're afraid to express themselves because they are so afraid how the other person will react. But even with your children, like, so many parents, they are like, but I don't want to upset my child. Well, you're just teaching them that they shouldn't express themselves. And once you start doing it, they tell me, it was so easy. I told them no, and that was okay.
I know. So, and this affects every relationship, every child, parent, work. I mean, I'm a relationship coach, and it's all relationships, but it's really the relationship you have with yourself is the most important, because that's reflected in all relationships. So we're just going to round this up here, is that thank you. I just love your energy and your truth and your authenticity. And I'm going to say that to me, you're a beautiful mirror for me and a reflection, because it is rare for me to come upon people who are fully expressed. And I know you're working through your stuff, and we are always working through stuff. But it is such a gift and a freedom, and that is what I crave, is having those interactions with people. The more that we can know ourselves and show up, like I said, we attract people that can mirror that back, and there's just such beautiful energetic exchange in that, and such authenticity. And I believe in my heart of hearts and my deepest sense of self that everyone craves that. They just don't know. And they also fear it because it's such a foreign concept. But to me, I live and thrive on it. So, so thank you for showing up in your truth. And energetically, I knew you're my girl. I mean, we are just sisters, and I do just want to say to everyone watching that the more you can do your inner work and break free of the conditioning and all these identities that you took on that were not your truth, and then you get to decide, and the more you share it and express it, the rewards, I mean, it's just limitless. It just keeps back the energy of it. I love, and maybe, and I'm going to say one more thing. My circle is small, but I choose it to be because, like I said, I know my energy is precious and my life is precious. It take me a long time to get there. So I only invite people into that energy that will meet me in that authenticity. And so I invite people into that space because it's really beautiful and it's very freeing.
Yes, absolutely. And Kali, thank you so much. I felt really honored when you invited me to come into this live, because from the first day I met you in society, I've been looking up to you also as a role model. You have been doing it much longer than me. So I have such a long way to go. And just feeling honored and thankful for having met you in society and staying in this connection and for having this conversation. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. But I want to say, Jasmina, your soul has been ready for so long. So you're going there, sister. Your soul has been so long. And I believe our souls have been ready for so long. It's doing the work, and then the human self lines up into that soul self, and that's where we are our most powerful, most authentic, fierce self. So thank you. So I want to just say that, where can people find you? Tell them the work you do.
Well, I do. Well, I think they can see my Instagram, right? It's jasmina.coach. And I really help through the E4 trauma method to reprogram the subconscious mind, so that people can show up authentically, truthfully, and live a life full of joy and lightness. It doesn't matter how many things happen into your life, you can't live really happy and joyfully. It's not the main thing is not what happens surrounding you. It's really when you do your inner work, you're limitless. Like, the possibilities are really limitless. And especially for the queer community, I want to be present and to help them breaking through the barriers, not only through our childhood, what our parents indirectly imprinted in our subconscious mind, all of the limiting beliefs we decided in that moment, but also about all the limiting beliefs we took in because of society, because of our surroundings, because of the media, and because I can relate so much to all the problems they have to confront every day. I especially want to help the queer community to heal from all the trauma.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, because that's my child, and they are in that fight as well. And I think we're fighting for all human beings to show up in their truth and the love and who they are, because that is the whole point of our life. My friends, I want to just leave you with that. And so Jasmine and we have the same mission of just helping people show up fully express Because if you don't show up fully expressed and love who you are, then life will continue to show you that.
Yes.
So be who you are, and if we can leave you with that, you are beautiful, you are loved, you are whole right now. Nothing needs to be fixed. Nothing needs to be fixed. The work is stripping away all these identities and all this conditioning so you can experience your wholeness and show up in the beautiful human being that you are, no matter how you identify with yourself, with the world. It is your choice at the end of the day. And when you decide that, I'm telling you, that is freedom. Freedom.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Well, thank you, my beautiful friend. I look forward to talking to you again. Thank you for showing up in your truth today. Our conversation, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Sue. Bye. Yeah, I'm still alive and